Start with Dr. Geist. So Dr. Geist, you may have seen some of my interventions here at committee on C18, where I did start by pointing out to the Minister of Heritage what had happened in Australia when Meta blocked news content, and asked him what actions he was going to take to make sure that didn't happen in Canada. And he said it was a simple business decision. And so when Meta and Google were here, I asked them if C18 is passed in its current form, and if the government makes you pay for people to share news links, would it be a reasonable business decision to decide not to do that because you'd have to pay? And they both said that it was. So I was not surprised when this result happened, although the Liberals and NDP seem to be shocked and surprised. It looks like it's had very negative impacts on small and local businesses, which was the whole point of trying to have C18 protect local small news outlets. So were you surprised, and what do you think the impacts have been?
Thanks for the question. No, I wasn't surprised. I appeared before this committee a couple of times on C18, and I thought that if you understood the business model that existed, and we've heard a lot of the negative aspects of the business model, which is why I think there is a role to play for regulation when it comes to some kind of the harms that have been articulated. But that wasn't what C18 was about. If you understood the business model of trying, as we've heard, to keep people on the platform and capture information and deliver ads to them, the idea that news content was something they couldn't live without never made much sense. I mean, the reality is that's the sort of content that actually sends people away off the site. And so given what had been taking place, it seemed to me that this was likely to occur. I also have to say, sometimes it felt as if people didn't fully think through some of the implications. I mean, with all respect, it was this committee that established a specific exception for campus broadcasters to include them in the legislation. And we just heard today that, well, campus news isn't included. Literally, this committee included it within one of its amendments so that they would be eligible under the system. And so it's also this committee that passed legislation that said all news, facilitating access to all news, whether in Canada or anywhere, brings you within the scope of being a digital news intermediary. You could have made the choice to say only that news that's from a qualified Canadian journalism organization, only those who qualify for payments, which actually would have excluded some of these other entities and would have excluded many of the foreign entities. But that wasn't the choice that was made. And so it seems to me these were the choices made in the legislation, and the outcomes were pretty predictable.
Thank you.